Hello, welcome back. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to write test plan. And essentially, a test plan is a document which tells about the testing efforts on a very high level view. Okay, so here are a couple of sessions that I would add to a test plan. The first one that I would add is the scope of testing. Like, what I'm basically what I'm suggesting here, like, what is the scope of the test. Okay, so the scope means, like, what needs to be tested and what not to test. Okay, so like, say for example, sometimes you might be delivered the complete application. So in that case, you might assume that that part is some module is working, some module need not be tested. Okay, so that is where in the scope session, so you say that what to test. Okay, and next thing that comes into after your scope is ready and all those things, then you come up with test strategy. Okay, so as you realize that there are different kinds of testing that we do, like we might be doing a unit testing, might be doing a system testing, might be a performance testing, and so on. And if it's a browser based testing, we might do some GUI testing, maybe some usability testing, and so on. So depending on the product that you are testing, you need to come up with what kind of test that are useful in your scenario. Testing type. Okay, what kind of test that you want to do. Okay, do you want to do a multi-user performance testing, right? And then who is going to do the testing, and what kind of test cases should be present there. Okay? You come up with a test plan. Okay, so the test plan would be depending on the test strategy. It might be a unit test plan, it might be a overall system test plan, or might be a workload to run some kind of performance testing or load testing. Okay, so this is how you basically, this is the meat of the things on the test plan about the testing strategy and so on. Okay, and then once you're done with testing strategy, then you can come up with something called the resource requirement. Okay, so in this in this case, you are going to determine how many QA engineers you need. Okay, so how many QA staffs you need, and then also always give some kind of buffer so that you can take care of some kind of contingency issues. Okay, and then what kind of hardware we need. That means hardware means, like, say for example, you are testing this kind of application where you are basically trying to test a web-based application, right? And then in that case, like, you need a web server to run on a Linux hardware versus a database server run on another Solaris hardware or whatever. Based on your on the product, you come up with hardware that is required to test it. Okay, and then also you come up with software. Like, software means, like, you might need Microsoft Word, or you need a license for Microsoft Excel, or you might need some automation testing tools like LoadRunner or HP OpenView, or you might need some kind of monitoring tool so that you can monitor the system resource usage while your tests are running. Okay, so come up with what kind of softwares that you need to execute this testing effort. Okay, and as you say, always give some kind of buffer for the contingency plans and all. Okay, and once you've done this thing, then you can come up with something called scheduling, like basically give a schedule, like when we are going to finish what. Okay, so basically different milestones, and then what are the different deliverables that is required that you mention here. Like, say for example, one of your milestone is the test plan, the creation of test plan. Like whatever we are discussing, this is a test plan, and you give them when the test plan should be ready. Okay, and then you give them a schedule, like when your test cases, and if it's required to be automated or it's required to be coded and all those things, so when those test cases will be finished. Okay, so basically these are the sample milestones or schedules that that somebody is very interested in. The goal here for testing is to find out defect, find out incidents or bugs, and then resolve it in the testing cycle, so that whenever you're going to give that product in the production, we are less likely to hit those kind of issues. Okay, so come up with when you are going to give a defect report, and then what is the plan for that. So those things will come on the defect report scheduling. And then finally, like, once you're finishing all those things, give a summary report of your activities, and then how many defects are found, and all those things. Okay, so this is kind of metrics to know, like, what is the effectiveness of the testing. So all this schedules you give, and then what you can do, you can defect reporting. And in defect reporting, this is okay, so this is basically defect reporting is the key thing here. Basically, like unlike the developer, their output is number of lines of code, and as a tester, your output is how many bugs you find. Okay, how many times you make the software to fail. Okay, so therefore defect is a key metrics that somebody is going to judge you based on type of defects that you are finding and number of defects you are finding on a product. Okay, so for example, this is the normal case, like say for example, this is the QA engineer and this is a developer, and what you need to make sure that when we start testing, will the QA engineer start testing this thing, and then he find a bug or he find a defect, and then basically he feed it back to the developer, and therefore these guys should know, like who is the developer, whom to contact in case of a defect or incidents. Okay, and then how to report that defect. Okay, so there is a protocol to be followed, and then and that is exactly that we are going to give you a complete class on bug reporting, and then on different scenarios how to report bugs. Okay, so this QA engineer is going to basically do those things. This is basically going to report those defects, and then we need to come up with a protocol. Okay, and then in case of a follow-up, how to the bug follow-up will happen, and then this developer is going to basically, once the defect is resolved, he's going to give a patch. Again, the QA engineer should apply that patch and then redo the testing and then give a feedback. Either he can close the bug or defect, or he can reopen the defect based on more analysis. Okay, and then you have something called risk and assumption. Okay, we are living a very uncertain world. Okay, and sometimes even we have to test based on some kind of half-baked code, or sometimes we are testing while the development is ongoing. Okay, so therefore we need to come up with some kind of risk, like what kind of things might fail. Say for example, one example of risk is while the testing, your lead QA engineer is leaving the company. Okay, or while you are testing, the hardware broke down. Okay, so there are different kinds of risks, and there are different kinds of things that might hinder your work. So in that case, how you are going to basically, your goal is how to mitigate those plans. So not only you give the possible risks, also give you a mitigation plan to address those risks. Okay, and so basically these are overall, I told you about 7 to 8 points on how to write this test plan document, and this document may be sometimes from 4 to 10 pages of document depending on the complexity of the product, and this is very important to write so that we can follow up the test plan. And there are a lot of test plans. If you Google it, you will find it, but I like this test plan very much. And then so I like this. There are plenty of test plans available on Google, but I think you probably going to take a look at this test plan. Okay, so here's a very good document given in this website. You can take this thing and modify this. Okay, and you remember the difference between test plan and test case document. They are completely two different documents. Okay, test plan give you a highly overall view of the testing procedure, whereas test case is going to give you very detailed, or even sometimes the test case contains some code, some APIs and so on. Okay, so there are two different things, and then don't confuse